Okay, you can go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's evening, you guys are eating dinner and all that kind of stuff. So again, I appreciate you taking the time. But my name is Trinity Smith. I am the BDM for Island Roots. I've been talking to Deborah quite a bit. We wanted to get something on the books for you guys. Just happy to be here. But I don't know if you guys have booked with Island Roots before, but Island Roots, we are a full service DMC in the Caribbean. So, we of course curate these beautiful tours, you can see it there, authentic, immersive experiences. But being a full service DMC, we can go into a lot more depth with you guys. So we are in destination, if your clients need some sort of adjustment, if they want something customized, we have that footprint there where you can go in and do that. So, one of the success stories that I love to tell is that, one of my agents, she had a private transfer come in and she wanted to do something, maybe a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more elevated. So she actually ended up calling and saying, "Hey, can you guys do a private catamaran from this location to this location as their transfer?" And of course, we could do it. And that's something that you actually don't find on the website. It's just, calling in and seeing what we have available. So, if I can get anything across to you guys, it's to make sure that you're taking advantage of every opportunity there, customizing as much as you can. And, it can be something as big as that, or it can be something like maybe your client has a disability. Maybe there is some sort of allergy that they are dealing with. We can also make those adjustments as well. So, on top of our experiences, our day tours that you would find on the website, we also do, group experiences, private and bespoke experiences, those transfers I mentioned. So a full service tour company, essentially everything you need outside of booking the hotel and the airline, we can make happen for you. Now, Ultimate Guide. So we do have over 600 plus unique tours. 100 plus experiences are developed annually. 700,000 tours are experienced annually. And we do have over 250 plus certified tour partnerships. So big things on this slide, 600 plus unique tours. We have something for everybody. If you have never been on our website, I do encourage you to go on islandroots.com and, just kind of explore and see what we have available. So, you know, something adventure, something culture, food, animals, boats, water sports. I mean, there's going to be some sort of experience that's going to cater to what your clients want to do. Other big number is that 250 plus certified tour partnerships. We have our owned and operated tours. We also do partner with some of the local businesses. But that being said, we're very picky about who we work with. Unlike, say, like a Viator or Shore Excursions, not anybody can just sign up with us. There is a certain criteria that they have to meet. So I'll talk about that here in just a minute. And then, we are really just focused on sharing the beauty of the Caribbean islands with the rest of the world. That's our main mission. So, if you guys have been down to the Caribbean, you know that, every country is very different. They have their own language, their own culture, their own people, their own way of speaking, and, interacting with each other. So, through our tours and our experiences, we want to be able to showcase that with you guys. Let's see here. Now, as far as where we are located, so we are in 9 different countries in the Caribbean. We are based in Jamaica, by far our most popular island. I think with Hurricane Melissa, business there has slowed down a bit, but as the resorts are opening back up, we're seeing things come back, bigger and better than ever, which is really cool. After Jamaica, St. Lucia is probably our second busiest island. Tied for third would probably be the Bahamas or Turks and Caicos. And then, you have Antigua, Barbados, Grenada, Curacao, and most recently St. Vincent and the Grenadines coming in behind those. So, we're very happy to be able to service some of those smaller islands that, most people or some people don't tend to think about. So, really, really nice. 9 destinations, hundreds of islands to choose from. And, a good way to remember where we operate is if there is a Sandals and Beaches in that country, Island Roots does also operate there. But that being said, we don't exclusively work with Sandals and Beaches. We work with all resorts in the Caribbean, so don't feel limited. And then this slide, I just want you to trust me. I want you to know that we're well respected in the industry. We've been named one of the world's leading Caribbean attraction companies. We've won multiple TripAdvisor awards, World Travel Awards, Six-Star Diamond Award winner, Travi Award winner. So, we've been doing this for 17 years. We've really been able to make a name for ourselves. And, we do like to think that people tend to enjoy working with us. So again, it's all about safety and making you and your clients comfortable. And then our island, our roots, our people. I did touch on this a little bit earlier. We do have those in-destination relationships, local expertise, on-the-ground presence. And then, something else that's really cool is the money that you're spending with us is going directly back to the people who live in these countries. So outside of me and maybe a few other people, most of the people that you're working with and you're talking to on a day-to-day basis, I would probably say all of those people are in the Caribbean or they are from the Caribbean. So I think there may be two people who, me included, who do not check that box. Everybody else is either from there or they live there. So we are very, very proud of that. Now, our selection and criteria standards. So, circling back to those partnerships I was talking about earlier, we, with our owned and operated tours and our outside partnerships, all have to go through a 100 plus point inspection process every single year to make sure that they are up to standard and up to code. If there is something like a Hurricane Melissa that passes through, we will go back in and reconduct that inspection process. Another big thing on this slide that I like to point out is the insurance policy. So we do have a $50 million per incident insurance policy, and we also require all outside vendors to hold $1 million in insurance as well. So this is included in the pricing. There's no extra box that you have to check, nothing, outside of just booking the tour that you have to do. So everything is built into the pricing. Your clients could have up to $51 million in insurance if they need it. Something else that I'll say is that all of our captains and crews with our, water vessels are trained to the same standard as the United States Coast Guard. And our team is actually the one that goes in and, helps train the Montego Bay Airport in Jamaica. So, we do it very, very well. It's very, very important to us. Now, maximizing your commission, something that I always want to make sure my agents are doing is not leaving money on the table. What we do find is that 2 to 3 excursions are booked per 7 night stay. Typically, we've only seen one of those captured by a travel agent. So what that tells us is that people are booking a lot when they're on property already, because, we do see that the tours are going out. We're just seeing that the travel agents aren't necessarily getting to them first. So big thing I can tell you guys is to just make sure you're pre-booking those experiences. Um, you know, we do offer you guys 10% commission. And, what I find is that my agents who are more vigilant about pre-booking do make more money. Of course, it's in the best interest of you because of that, but it's also in the best interest of the client. So do keep in mind that our best tours do sell out. If there's something specific that they want to do on a certain day, I, encourage them to go ahead and book to make sure that they are, getting it in the time that they want it. I want them to feel comfortable pre-booking because we do have a good cancellation policy. So they can cancel for whatever reason they want to 72 hours before the tour goes out. And then after that, it operates on a matrix. So I think 48 hours is like a 50% refund. 24 hours is like a 25% refund. But, that being said, if they're sick, if weather is deemed dangerous, we're always going to give them that 100% refund no matter when they ask for it. So yeah, there's always that. And then operationally, it works out better for us because we can confirm the tour quicker and sooner, and we don't have to go back and cancel tours just due to lack of numbers. So when we know that everything's good and, ready to, confirm, that's always going to help us out as well. So, again, just make sure you're getting ahead of it and booking those experiences. Now, as far as how to book with us goes, a couple of different ways you can do that. Of course, you can call our call center. Our team in the Caribbean, they're all waiting to talk to you. You can also email. So I personally prefer emailing just because I like to have my paper trail, but we do have the TA portal as well. So what is great about the TA portal is that there is a co-branded link on there that you can use. So, you yourself can go and book the tours, or you can copy that co-branded link and send it to your clients and they can book it as well. Other things that I would like, or I would want you guys to know is even if you're calling or emailing, please make sure you have that co-brand or you have that TA portal because there's a lot of good marketing materials on there as well. So banks of images, destination guides, an HTML code you can work onto your websites. There are videos, there's articles that you can access. So we try to make it a toolbox for you. And then one last thing on this is when it comes to transfers, we usually ask that you call or email in. Normally, you can't book those on the TA portal. You might be able to book the St. Lucia ferry transfer on the TA portal, but the helicopter transfer, any of the other transfers, make sure you call or email in just because we want to verify any and all information for you guys. Now, our distribution network. So, this is just a drop in the bucket of everybody that we work with. By far, one of our bigger partners is Sandals and Beaches. We have a flagship in every single one of their resorts. But, again, we've been around for 17 years, so we've really been able to, foster these really great relationships. So, pretty much all resorts in those 9 islands that I mentioned, we do work with. But, AC, Hyatt, Trial Club, Baha Mar, we're the ground transportation team behind JetBlue Vacations and Air Canada Vacation. So we do have an extensive network. And then our private and bespoke collection. So private and bespoke, we do have this luxury line. And with our private and bespoke collection, as long as it is safe, as long as it is legal, and as long as your client has the budget, we can pretty much make anything happen. So when it comes to private and bespoke, you get VIP access to iconic locations, an experienced team of curators, specialized experience guides, and unique culinary experiences. If you go to the private collections tab on our website, I do recommend you do this just so you can get an idea of what certain types of experiences may cost. Keep in mind that it varies country to country. So, if they are booking something in Turks and Caicos, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than what you would book in Jamaica. But, there is a range. I've seen some private and bespoke experiences that are like $600. I've seen some that are $10,000. Really just depends on what they want to do. And, usually with those experiences that we have on our website, I very rarely see anybody take one of them as is. What usually happens is they look at it and they say, oh, that looks cool, but can I add this? Can I change this? Or can I do something completely original? So, feel free to work with your client and, be as imaginative with it as you want. Um, so the loyalty program. So loyalty program is a program that we put into place about two years ago. It's based on direct bookings with Island Routes. It runs per calendar year, and it's a great opportunity to earn some freebies if you're somebody who enjoys going to the Caribbean. So when you book $5,000 worth of Island Routes tours, you get a free catamaran cruise. If you do $15,000, you get a free powerboat experience. If you do 50,000, you get your own private and bespoke experience. So again, per calendar year, you have a date, or excuse me, you have a year from the date you receive the prize letter to cash in on the prize. So, just be on top of it, kind of be aware of it. If you have any questions about where you stand, you can always email me and I can point it out to you. Um, and then the other thing too is that we do offer you guys a 10% discount in place of your commission if you ever want to go down to the Caribbean. So we love when people reach out to us. When it comes to Club Mobe, I think we actually will give you guys a 50% discount if you book through Island Route. So just a couple of things to be aware of if you're ever going down to the Caribbean and want to take advantage of some of these things. And then our top 5 tour picks per destination. So starting off with Jamaica. By far, our most popular thing here is going to be Dunn's River. I think it's a bucket list item. Everybody should go do it, but personally, I prefer YS Falls. YS Falls is closer to that South Coast No Grill region. And what I like about it is it's a lot less crowded than Dunn's River. Um, Super fun. It's like this tropical oasis. The falls are beautiful. There's a rope swing, there's a mineral pool. It's very accessible to people of all ages, so I love that one. We do pair it with the Appleton Rum Experience. So, with the Appleton Rum Experience, of course, you go to the distillery, you get a tasting, you see how the rum is made, and then you get this really, incredible, great lunch. So, that is just, the most Jamaican day that you can have. Mystic Mountain, great for multi-generational travelers, great for families. So, if you have a family there or even, adults only, and they're kind of tired of being on the beach, they want to do something a little bit different. Mystic Mountain is great if they're staying in the Ocho Rios region. So it's kind of like, or, I would compare it to like the Six Flags of Jamaica, or I would say it's kind of like the Six Flags of Jamaica. So you can go do the Ragamuffin, which is a roller coaster. You can do the Jamaican bobsledding. There's some really good zip lining. There's a rope course. There's a little water park, a pool that overlooks the Ocho Rios region. So that one is really nice. Catamaran cruises. You'll see some version of a catamaran cruise on every single one of these slides. We have a bunch of different options in, Jamaica, depending on where your clients are staying. So usually some sort of adventure element like snorkeling, going to a waterfall, doing a beach break. And then after that, we would bring you back on the boat. We would, bring out the DJ, have some snacks, and it's just one big party. And what I like about the catamaran cruises is that they're usually pretty easy to get to. If you do have those clients who are just like, I want to stay on the beach and that's all I want to do, it's a great alternative option to just get them to see the island in a little bit of a different way. Blue Mountain tours kind of just depends on how you want to experience the Blue Mountains. There's cannabis tours, there's coffee tours, there's guided hikes. So really just depends on you and your client's prerogative. And then Blue Hole, if you're somebody who likes to do as the locals do, Blue Hole is what I would recommend. So it's this beautiful spring near the White River. You can go hike it, hang out. There's some great ATV options near there as well. Some great, floating, rafting options around that area. And then, of course, for my couples, I do love the Bamboo River rafting at the Martha Brae. It's very peaceful, very relaxing, very intimate. And we actually do this at the White River as well. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, key things that I would say sell out pretty quickly with St. Vincent and the Grenadines is Tobago Keys, the La Soufriere volcano, and Darkview Falls, especially Darkview Falls. That one sells out, pretty far in advance. The La Soufriere volcano, any hiking there, there's usually just a, lower threshold of people that we can bring on those tours. So, if you have clients who are into that sort of thing, please make sure you're booking it so they can ensure that they're able to experience it while they're in the area. Other good tours are the Mustique and Bequia island hopping experience. So with this one, we've been able to get access to private islands of people like Mick Jagger, Beyonce, the royal family, and we will take your clients to get some peeks at the villas, hang out on the beaches, shop with some of the vendors that are on the island. So people really, really like that one. And then other tours not listed on here. We do have some great pirate tours. So this is actually where Pirates of the Caribbean was filmed. So we'll take you there, to those different locations, and then the shopping tours as well. Also really nice. Reason being, to me, in my opinion, is that it's not very Americanized. It's not very commercialized. So it's kind of cool to get out there and, see how authentic the area still is. Antigua, so, I would say Antigua, Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos, it's very much about the beach and water there, though that is the, big feature that people go to experience. So with Antigua, you're going to see a lot of experiences that kind of center around that. So my most popular tour here, actually not listed, is the 360 circumnavigation cruise. So with that one, Antigua is a very small island. You can get on a boat and go around it in one full full day. So that's how that cruise is set up. People have really enjoyed that one. You get to see all 366 of their beaches as you go around. So it's really nice. Other things, sunset catamaran cruises, horseback beach rides, swimming with the pigs, all really, really fun and, showcases the best parts of the island. The Antigua Rainforest Zipline Adventure, also cool. So if you want something a little bit more focused on the land, getting some views in the middle of the country, you can do that. The Antigua Rainforest Zipline and Eco Kayak experience gives you a taste of both. And then more cultural things. You have the rum tours, you have the Taste of Antigua and St. John's historical experience as well. So don't overlook the food scene in Antigua. I think it was actually, named one of the best food destinations in the Caribbean. So I really, like pushing that tour as well. Bahamas, of course, you can look at this slide and tell that the thing that most people want to do when they are in the Bahamas is swim with the pigs. So again, we have a bunch of different variations of this particular experience. I think the Bahamas is really great for animals. So dolphin swim experiences. We have, the stingray experience. So the Bahamas Tourist Board actually really highly recommends that particular tour. And then sea turtles, depending on the time of year, you can go, see them hatch. You can watch them go into the water. You can swim with them. So that one is also very nice. And then, we do have a seven beaches tour that you can go do. So with the seven beaches tour, I actually hear a lot about it from my travel agents. So, you do have those smaller islands in the Bahamas, where they're very pristine, very untouched. So people, will go and we'll take them around to the different islands and, the pictures are just incredible. The water is, basically like Gatorade blue. So people always talk about how much fun they have on that one. And then Bites of Nassau food tasting and cultural walking tour, also really nice. Also some good rum tours in the Bahamas too. Barbados, there's a lot of good colonial, pre-colonial, and pirate history here. So for that reason, I do like that Garrison Historical Sightseeing Tour. If you have any history buffs, this is a really good option. But if you want something a little bit more overarching, Views of Barbados is very good. The electric bike Baja and sightseeing experience is also nice. So again, those are just going to be, good ways to get to know the country as a whole. The Harrison's Cave Tram and Nature Walk experience. I've actually had a lot of people from Barbados recommend that one. I think it's a little bit quirkier. It's a little bit different. So people like that one. And then, the Friday fish fries, you can go do that. So we have some guides who will take you down and show you the ropes with the fish fries. With a lot of the tours that we have, they're kind of centered around, making sure people feel comfortable going off of resort. So, I know that is often a, challenge that my travel advisors are faced with is they're, a little bit nervous about going off of resort. But, something that I will say is that, we are owned by the same people as Sandals and Beaches. We're two separate companies, but we're under the same ownership group. So, if you feel comfortable sending your client to a Sandals and Beaches, I also want them to feel comfortable, working with Island Roots because we do have that same standard. So that's kind of the beauty as well of working with us is just to make them feel more safe and secure as they venture out into the country. So, circling back here, the other thing that I will say about Barbados is there is really good golfing there. We do have an 18-hole experience that they can go do. So, check that out. I haven't looked on the website in a while, but I think it should still be in our catalog. Curacao. So, Curacao, you have Dutch, French, Spanish, English, Caribbean influences all coming into play. For that reason, I do like that Taste of Curacao tour because I think it's a really good way to get to know the country. It's a really good way to get into Willemstad and experience it. It's a World Heritage UNESCO site, so I love that one. You can also, get a good feel for it through the private Curacao City tour. There is also an e-bike tour. I've personally done the private Curacao City tour and I loved it because, you got to go into Willemstad, but you got to go to the Blue Curacao Distillery as well. You got to go to a fort, got a good history lesson. And we also went to a cliff that overlooked the harbor that they have. So That one is really, really nice if you want to spend a little bit of extra money. And then beach experiences in Curacao. Klein Island probably has the best beach. So any of our tours that take you there, I'm going to recommend. The Wonders of Curacao Swim and Snorkel Cruise, I think does take you there, as well as the Curacao Snorkeling Beach Break and Barbecue and the Curacao Sunset Catamaran Cruise. So it's a really great island, but really what I would recommend is going into Willemstad with Curacao. Grenada, very lush island, very beautiful. Lots of great waterfalls, the Annandale Waterfalls, St. Margaret's Falls, the Grand Teton Rainforest. So, those the last four tours that you're seeing there are really, really nice. I particularly like the Grenada Jeep kayaking and beach bum experience just because I love a good Jeep ride or Jeep experience. So, that one's very fun. A lot of quirky tours here that you can do. So there's some like bird watching tours, state botanical garden tours. There's a high tea tour. Grenada has a very like British European feel to it. So that one is a lot of fun. And Grenada is also the spice island. So they are the number one exporters of pimento, allspice, and nutmeg. So, one of my favorite shopping tours to recommend is that half day historical sightseeing in St. George's shopping tour because you can shop with those local artisans, grab those spices, bring them back and cook with them. St. Lucia, of course, I did mention the helicopter tour and the ferry transfer, or excuse me, I should say the helicopter transfer and the ferry transfer. So we do offer those. My number one recommended tour by my travel agents in any of the countries that we have is going to be that Sue Frere Captain for a Day experience. Reason being, I think, is because it's very affordable for everything that you get to do. So this one's usually about $241, but you get to do a lot within the tour. So you can go to the Pitons, you go to Sulphur Springs and do the mud baths, you visit a waterfall, you go snorkeling, you get lunch, you go on a boat. So it's just, and I think it's like a power boat too. So that's really cool as well. But it's very well-rounded. If you have that client who just wants to go out for one day and experience the country, that's the one that I would push them towards because you kind of hit all the hot spots at once. So that one usually lasts about 7 to 8 hours. So just make sure they're comfortable being gone for a full day. Piton Sunset Snorkel Cruise, also great. The Sioux Frere experience. It's more of an abbreviated version of that Sioux Frere Captain for a Day experience. But, St. Lucia, you can't really go wrong. Anything to do with the pitons, anything to do with Sulphur Springs and the mud baths, and anything to do, I would say, with chocolate making, chocolate tasting. There's a really cool chocolate factory you can go visit and kind of see how all of that is done, and a lot of great farm to table experiences as well. So don't overlook St. Lucia as a foodie destination, too. So great island. Last, we have Turks and Caicos. So Turks and Caicos, again, very much about the beach, very much about the water. If you want to do something family friendly, Turks and Caicos is usually the island that I recommend. So we have family catamarans, we have teenager catamarans. Anything that centers around Iguana Island is also a safe bet. So we do have that conch cooking experience Provo where you can go out, catch your own conch, bring it back to the island, and we will make it for you. There's some clear kayaks you can do. There's some paddle boarding. If you want to do something a little bit more educational, you can do some eco tours where you learn about the plants and animals that are native to that area. And then switching over, if you want to do adults only things, my most popular tour in Turks and Caicos is going to be that Caicos shipwreck and floating bar experience. So with that one, you go explore that shipwreck that you're seeing to the right of the screen. And then you go out to a bar called Noah's Ark, and it's this tiki bar in the middle of the ocean. Super fun. People tend to rave and they have the best things to say about it. So again, that's the most popular one that we have. And then we do have guided nightlife tours as well. So again, if your clients are uncomfortable, but they want to go out and see some of the hot spots in the country while they're there, we do have guides who will take them out, and show them the ropes and, kind of go on their schedule, depending on if they're having a good time at one place or another. So that's also an option too. And then here is my information. Last couple of things that I will mention is we do have a Facebook page. It's the Island Roots Loves Travel Advisors Facebook page. So I do encourage you guys to join it. We try to post any, promotions that we have going on, any incentives that are currently going. So, we do have our endless summer sale. There's some information in the Facebook page about that. We do have a incentive that we are doing as well. So if you sell over $1,000 worth of Island Roots tours during the month of July, you'll be entered in for a drawing for an Amazon gift card. So we do have that going on as well. And then, different educational opportunities. We have a Facebook Live where we'll be talking a little bit more about some topics, the endless summer sale being one of them, tips for commission, all that good stuff. So it's just a really great resource. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always drop them in the Facebook page as well. So that's Island Roots Loves Travel Advisors. So yeah, I want to open up the floor, see if anybody has any questions for me. I see we have a couple of things in the chat.
Thank you, Trinity. That was really informative. Um,
Good.
and so I just want to get some clarification. To
Mhm.
book one of your tours, you can go to islandroots.com, but you can also book it through the Sandals portal too, correct?
Yes, so you can book these tours through the Sandals portal. It's the same commission. One of the differences, I guess, would be who you're working with. So if you book through the Sandals portal, of course, you would work with the Sandals team. Reason being is that we have two separate systems. So even if, say your clients cancel and they need a refund, it would have to go through their system first, because we have different order confirmation numbers and all that good stuff. So it would have to go through Sandals, and then they would come to us to request the, refund. So that's just an example. Other big difference is that the loyalty program. Currently, the loyalty program is only based on direct bookings. I would love to see a world in which that is, not true, that the Sandals bookings count as well. But for now, if you want to take advantage of the loyalty program, it is based on booking directly with Island Roots. But yes, you can absolutely book through them. I see a lot of people do it just because they like to have all of the information in one place, and it's easy and it's seamless. If you want to do directly with us, you can always go to RTA portal or call our call center or email.
Okay, so if we book through you direct, is there a way to link our Sandals booking
There
for
is
like a client?
not.
Okay,
There is
got it.
not, and the reason is that we work with so many resorts. So we
Right.
would have to have that option for every single resort that we work with.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do believe there was a question in the chat.
Mhm.
Do you have packages for Exuma in Bahamas?
So Exuma, I know for a while they had, and I think it might have been Exuma. I know there was a part of the Bahamas that we weren't doing tours because, it was kind of based on what resorts were open at the time. Now I have not checked that in a while, but I do know at a time we were servicing Exuma. I'm pretty sure we do some experiences in Exuma though, but I can always check on that.
Okay, and then if anything, the agent themselves can check on the Island Roots website.
Sure, sure, sure.
Very good. Leona is asking, do we add the IATA? Leona, if you want to unmute and just maybe clarify that for us, is it to sign up for Island Roots?
Hey, yeah. So what I was just asking is, okay, so if we just go to the website that you put in there, the islandroots.com, I guess how do we know that, it's affiliated with a travel advisor? Is it going to give us a place somewhere on there to show that, or is there something like that to put
Hmm.
the
Yes. So are you talking about like when you send out the co-branded link?
correct?
Is yes. Okay. So when you send out the co-branded link, a good way to know that it is working is your name, the phone number, and your email should be at the top of whatever page that you send. So if you send that out, you should see that information at the top. Another thing that you can do to make sure that your co-branded link is working is you should have the agent ID at the end of the URL. So when you send out that link, you should see something that says agent ID, and that's a good way to know that it is working. But yeah, if you click that copy link button within your portal, it should all be linked back to you.
Okay, I must have I didn't see the place where the co-branded stuff was, so maybe I need to go back and look at something else then. So,
Yeah. And if you have any issues, feel free to email me separately and I can kind of walk you through so we can, set something up so I can look at it and just make sure that it's good to go.
okay. All right. Yeah, I've used Island Roots before, but only through
Hmm.
Sandals, so not
Yeah,
as a travel advisor. But okay, thank you.
gotcha. No problem.
Yeah, and then when you go on islandroots.com, if you scroll all the way down, you'll see a little I think it's green. It says travel agents, and that'll lead you to the travel agent portal where you can sign up for the portal itself. And that's where you would go ahead and make the bookings as a travel agent or a travel
Okay. All
advisor.
right. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm fairly new, so I'm still
Yeah.
catching all of
No,
this.
you're
So
good. You're good. Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
As long as yeah, make sure you have your TA portal set up, and we can always check and make sure it's set up correctly too. So if you have any questions about that, I can link you with the trade team, and they can go, troubleshoot and just make sure we're good to go.
All right. Thank you very much.
No
Perfect.
problem.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question.
Hmm.
This is
Yes,
Melody.
Melody. Mm-hmm.
So are we signing up as individual agents or are we signing up with Just Adventures?
So, and I think I can answer this, Deborah, but
Yes.
or if you want to jump in, let me know. But so your agency should be registered with us and it is registered with us, I know. So since the agency is registered with us, as long as it's okay with your agency, you can absolutely register yourself as an individual agent. That's how we track the loyalty program is, we want to make sure that every agent has their own TA portal, their own account, so we can make sure that they're getting all of the credit for any of the bookings that they're making. So, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And you
so
would just sign up with Just Adventures IATA.
Mhm.
okay, okay, perfect.
Great question.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Or Melody, do you have any other
No,
questions?
I was just saying that I've also done quite a few tours with Island Roots because
Yay.
when I visit Sandals, I always go on
Mhm.
the tours. So very, 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 I like the fact that they're housed at
Mhm.
Sandals. And if
Mhm.
anything happens, then, you're not going to get left somewhere.
Right.
Right. Right. Very good. I think when we did our friends and family in Jamaica, we did the family catamaran from Montego Bay with Island Roots.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. People have a great time. And yeah, I
Mm.
really the perfect cocktail is when you're staying at Sandals and you book through Island Roots because like you were saying, like if you need anything, there is that flagship that is there. So it's super easy to make any adjustments. If you have any questions, if you want to reschedule, all of that's there. And I tell my agents, when it comes to sending your clients there, that desk is always going to be there if they want to book. So of course you can always tell your clients that if you want to book to go to the desk, but I would think of it more as a catch-all. People travel to go and experience a different country. So I consider what we do like the low-hanging fruit of the vacation. They're going out to have these experiences. So, make sure it's a priority. But again, if they don't want to book ahead of time, that desk is there to service them.
Right, exactly. And I think when I was in Beaches, Turks and Caicos, oh my gosh, the desk was lively as all heck.
Mhm.
You walk past and they want to party
Right?
with you and they're pulling you over to dance with you and they're playing music and stuff. So it's definitely a
Hmm.
good time.
Yeah,
Definitely
for
a good
sure.
time. Okay, anybody else have any questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself. I'm just gonna double check the
I
chat.
know. So with the Sandals and Beaches is all inclusive. Like, are the other hotels that you recommend also just all inclusive, or it's not? I'm new to all
Mm,
this island route stuff.
okay.
So,
So with and I think I understand what you're asking. So even with Sandals and Beaches, it's an all-inclusive resort, but with our experiences, you know. If it's off resort, you would have to pay separately for it. If that does that make sense? So is that kind of what you're asking? So like the experiences that we offer, it's going to be a separate cost, but we just have the flagship on the Sandals and Beaches property for ease. And then, with it's going to be the same across any resort that we work with. So if they're leaving the resort, basically if they're ever leaving the resort, it would be with us, and it would be an extra cost depending on what tour or excursion they want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my question, because like when we're showing like JetBlue Vacations and it showed like A1C hotels. Like, so if somebody stays at one of those, are those also all inclusive, I would assume, or am I assuming
Mhm.
wrong?
Oh, are you asking if those resorts are all inclusive?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. I'm not sure. It depends on the resort. Sandals and Beaches is just the one that I know the most about because we're under the
Okay.
same ownership group. But um, yeah, I mean, we work with all inclusives, not all inclusives, independent travelers.
Right.
Just depends on how they want to do it.
Right. And
Okay.
Island Roots is just affiliated with those properties or those
Hmm.
vacation packages. They're not part of that same company, I guess you can say.
Hmm. Yeah.
But when you do purchase an excursion from Island Roots, it will tell you in the description if it includes a lunch or snacks or
Hmm.
drinks and stuff like that.
Right.
So that when you're
Yes.
purchasing, say you're purchasing a catamaran cruise, it's going to tell you what it includes. So that price that you pay will include, what it says it does.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, we can do everything your clients need outside of booking the hotel and the airline. Yeah. So if it's not sleeping in a bed and it's not getting on a plane, that's usually where we come in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm was thinking that you're kind of doing the whole hotel with the activities and stuff. So,
Yeah. We do
No,
the
it's just
activities, but you
activities.
would book the hotel.
Right.
oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
I was getting it wrong. So,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, they're just activities, the hotel and the flights you guys would book,
Oh,
through
okay.
Mhm.
whatever. And this is just basically excursions in those areas that they're
Oh, okay.
identified.
I got it totally wrong.
I
No,
think
you're
My
good. That's
I'm
why
bad.
with
we do these things.
Eileen. I think I'm with you too. I think I thought you did the whole package. So then in that case, of course, I can still go back and look in the portal, but does your excursions fall strictly under the resorts that you represent, like Sandals? Say, for instance, if I was planning a trip in Exuma, I have everything else planned, even if I'm doing an Airbnb, can I still use you guys for the excursions?
It would work a little bit differently. So with something like that, we would probably have to set up a transfer as well. So what usually would happen is you would have to, and these are kinds of things that are on a case by case basis. So like when you go onto our TA portal and if you book a certain experience, you can see which resorts we service. There will be a drop down and you'll see Rio, Secrets, Moon Palace, Sandals. That's pretty easy to see. I have seen it where we will do Airbnb clients, independent travelers. We've even done some cruise lines. We're going to say no where we need to say no just to ensure that your clients, like, specifically with like cruise lines, we're not going to say yes to something if we don't feel like we're going to be able to do it in a singular day. When it comes to those types of experiences where they're Airbnb or they're cruises, we treat it a little bit more like a private experience where we set up the transfers, we do the experiences with them a little bit more individually, and then we take them back. So, yeah, again, I would just say it's a case by case basis, and it's going to be a little bit pricier when they do it that way, just because it's going to take more resources on our end. It's not like we're already sending a transfer over to Moon Palace to pick everybody up. We're going to have to set up something completely separate. So, yes, to answer your question, we can do it. Your clients are just going to typically pay for it. But there's also sometimes where we have to say, no, we can't do it just because, the cost of,
No, I understand.
actually executing it would be too much. Does that
So
make
it's
sense? But
better
I
to
would always
look
say
for a
ask the
hotel and
question.
then go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. because these experiences that they are selling are group experiences. So you're buying essentially, or booking your clients into a group that's kind of
Mhm.
already set up. So usually they like you to stay at a hotel in a certain area. That way they can send one bus to pick up you and maybe two or three other people that are also staying at your hotel, and then move on
Mhm.
to the next hotel and get. So if they
Mhm.
had to go to a, say, private Airbnb,
Got
that
it.
would be like a private
That would
thing that
be a
they would have to go
private
pick you up.
setup and whole
Yeah.
arrangement as opposed to
It,
already
Right.
have something set up
Mhm.
at these different hotels and you're just adding groups onto
Mhm.
excursions that are already kind of set in motion.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand.
And
Correct.
and yeah, and we do offer that. I mean, that's where our private and bespoke collection comes in. And we also have done it before where they're like, they want to do a seafood cruise in Jamaica. I've had it happen before where they wanted to do the seafood cruise and they booked the transfer to the seafood cruise and they did the seafood cruise. And it wasn't necessarily, I mean, they were going with the group, but they kind of came in from a different location as opposed to all the other places that we were picking up from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you
Yes.
know what? I'm just going
Yeah.
to reach out to you. And so
Okay.
obviously, I have a group going to Exuma,
Okay.
and I didn't realize that even though it's part of Bahamas, it's quite a niche island.
It is,
So
yes.
there's not a lot there, but we're just determined to go and
Okay.
experience it. So maybe, maybe we can get creative. I can contact
Mhm.
you and maybe it could be something where we drive to one of the hotels and link up with the tour that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So shoot me an email and ask. And if you have a hotel in mind that you're thinking you might want to try to go to, it's just making sure that the hotel will let you onto the property.
Yes.
That's the hurdle that I see is they're like, oh well, what if we go here? You just have to make sure that you can get on there. So
Right.
yeah, shoot me an email, let me know.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
For
think that
sure.
would probably be best. But again, like she said, it's not out of the question. It just doesn't hurt to ask if they can do something like that. And again,
Right.
like Trinity mentioned, if they can't, they will tell you no.
Yeah,
But doesn't hurt to ask.
for sure.
Very good. Does anybody have any last questions? I do have Trinity's contact information. I'm gonna put it up um on our school so that you guys can contact her if you do have any questions. You can contact her directly. And Trinity, I just want to thank you again for coming on with us tonight
Of course.
and giving us a great overview of Island Roots. And we can't wait to work with you guys.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.